morning. We'll call the public hearing to order. Yep, Councillor Melkinson's declaring a conflict. So Brenda, 2.1, please.
Good morning. As required by the Local Government Act, a public hearing is being held at this time to hear from anyone who may be affected by the proposed changes to the city's zoning bylaw. The proposed amendment in bylaw number 4156 is to rezone the remainder of Lot A, Plan 23916, which is a 6.4 acre property near the corner of 21st Street and 86th Avenue, from RS2 residential single and duplex zone to RM3 residential high-density multiple family zone. Included on the agenda for this public hearing is a report from staff, the restrictive covenant, the sewer and water report, and 3 letters received from neighbors, Ron Harder, Marvin and Sherry Stewart, and Darcy Dober.
All right. So of course my report won't come up here. All right. Do you have a motion for the recommendation? So we have report number 13-173 from the Deputy Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development regarding zoning amendment bylaw number 4156 2012. So we'll need a motion on that.
No.
Actually,
do we not need a motion on that?
No.
Just to accept it for
those documents are just for information at this
Perfect.
point.
Thank you. So I will call once for comments. I will call twice for comments. So at this point in time, if you would like to make a comment regarding this particular rezoning, then this would be the time.
Or what's possibly going to happen?
What possibly could happen is, so any for or against or any information that you would like to bring forward to council, this would be the time to do so.
Are we able to see the emails that the others have sent? Will those be presented to us? We have no idea what they've written.
I believe they're online, are they, Brenda, or can?
Yes, I can print them off.
All right, we'll take a minute.
Take a minute.
I will ask, though, if you want to make comments, that you just come forward to the delegation table and state your name and your address, please.
Well, you can sit with me. So we just go ahead?
Yep.
My name is Leslie Wager. I live 8420 on 21st Street, lot number 6. I think we purchased it in 2010. When we purchased it from Hart Modular Homes and their company that they were working with together to sell the properties, they sold us on the idea that it was going to be called Sunridge Estates. I have a plan here that they had proposed to us with 10 lots plus a second development, which would be mostly for modular homes for single family. Sorry, nervous. The reason I guess we purchased up there was because they were lower costing houses compared to what we see in Dawson Creek. And we thought that it would be great as an investment property for eventually selling, buying something bigger for our family, or as a rental if we could get out. To hear that this is going to be turned maybe into possibly apartment buildings is really discouraging. Like I said, we bought it under the presumption that it would be Sunridge Estates, where there'd be, you know, lots of families, there was a cul-de-sac, there was extra properties in the back. We'd actually even looked at purchasing one of the bigger lots if it had gone through. So to hear this and to hope that our property values don't go down because of an apartment building, it's really rough. We don't need this up there. I don't think, I'm hoping that the people on the other side of 83rd or wherever the big houses are would go against this also. I think it would bring their property values down also. I understand there is a need probably for housing in the town, but there's also a place that we could put these multiple family dwellings. We have had trouble with the developer and the city trying to get things fixed up there, and I'm wondering now, just because a big company has decided to purchase this land, they'll do anything to fix our problems. But it's not gonna fix our problems. We have a front yard and a backyard. The front yard faces 21st Street, which looks onto the hydro station and the big old BC Hydro building, which that was our choice to buy there, but also at the same time, we were told that the big building was going to be knocked down in 2010 when we purchased. Since then, things have changed, and he's tried to fix it up, but it's still an eyesore. But that being said, I don't mind the street because we have a backyard. Our backyards are big compared to city standards. That was one reason why we did purchase up there, because we have nice big yards, which we can enjoy in the summer because there is nobody back there yet. We can't use the front yard because of the hydro or the busy street. So a lot of us up there have developed our backyards into a sanctuary as such, that we can get away from the noise, the buzzing, the traffic of the street. If an apartment building were to come in, we would have no privacy at all. You wouldn't be able to go out into your backyard and use it because there'd be 3 or 4 levels of people looking down on you. That's one of the big concerns. And the idea of maybe transient people coming through, you never know who you're going to get. Like I said, we had purchased it on the idea that it was a family area. And the way that it was presented to us at the time, that's why we bought it. Had it been said that possibly there was going to be a rezoning, or it was rezoned for apartments, we would never have bought that, knowing that. So, that's about it.
Appreciate that. Okay.
We bought 1 year ago with the same understanding that behind us would be modular homes or residential duplexes. I did send in an email, my husband and I, so most of you probably read it. I did get a petition from everybody on 21st Street that is absolutely against this. There's not one on that street that is for this. One of the biggest things is, same thing, we were told a year ago that it was gonna be residential, small homes. Biggest concern is, how is it gonna look with a tower and 4-story apartment building, or any behind us at any point is going to be huge. A little bit different having a duplex behind me compared to a 4-story apartment and behind our modular. Other one that was a concern was short notice. We've got several that are away on holidays in our area, a wedding going on. Lots of people couldn't make it on this short a notice. Third one is, our realtor has already told us that this will depreciate our value of our home. And like Leslie said, our backyard is the only place that we all hang out, because the front, we understand we're right against an industrial area. We get big trucks flying through there. We can't let our dogs and kids out front. So we all head out in the back, and I don't want 500 people staring at us in our backyard. I would like to see it residential, stay residential, small community. Same as over on 17th Street. I want it the same all the way over.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. And I will call a third time for comments. Mr. Vader.
Good morning. I'm involved in the development.
Sorry,
and
John, I'll just
rezoning.
ask you to state your name and your
John
address.
Vedder.
Thank you. And your address, please?
Is Post Office Box 2297, Dawson Creek, BC.
Thank you.
Thank you. We had an opportunity to look at the concerns by the residents on 21st Street, and I think a lot of it is just hopefully misinformation as to what is going to be in the development. That will come up in the development permit, and I know that we're restricted on the development permit to what we're planning because of the issue with the availability of water to the site. So basically, I think the complaints, one was the property value and how it's going to impact those residents. What we're proposing there isn't a lot of apartment buildings. It's one apartment building and some 8-plexes. And what we're looking at is these are strata titled, so that they're going to be occupied by the owners, and the strata council there will dictate as to whether there are any rental units or whether they'll all be owner occupied, but that's something that the strata council will have to look at. These units are going to be probably just under $400,000 per unit, so they're a high-end strata title unit. So from what we're going to develop there, I would think, if anything, what you should see is the land values in that area should appreciate, not go down. I think there was one concern that this will become kind of slummy and crack shack, but I don't see that happening with the development we have. In regards to the privacy issues, you know, I understand that these are 4-story buildings, so that they are considerably higher than what the residences are on 21st Street. But you know, we've looked at the setbacks that are required by the city in for that zoning, and we will adhere to that. And as far as the large building, what we're going to do is we're going to have that face to the east, and the parking area actually will be what will come up against the houses that are on 21st Street. We also propose that this will be a gated community, so there'll be fencing completely around the facility. So, you know, we also know that there was some issues up in that area with groundwater in the spring running into these residences on 21st Street, and that's something that we want to address also, that you know, we're not having water from this from the land up there running down onto these other houses. So those are from what I could see the concerns that the residents had, and how we'll look at addressing them if we're successful in this rezoning application.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no other comments, we will close the public hearing. All right, so that will bring us to calling the meeting order to our regular meeting, and I guess we'll get Mr. Malcolmson.
There's no consultation today?
That's it.
No?
Madam Chair, have we closed the public hearing yet?
Yes.
Oh, well, I was informed by our administrative officer just after I left the room that I am required to let those present know why I declared a conflict, and that's because I reside very close to the proposed rezone property. Felt like my interests there would be more in line with myself than the whole community, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Malkinson. Right, do we have anything under new councillor business that anyone would like to share? No? Right, so we don't have any minutes or business arising from them, so correspondence. We have a letter from Wendy Hepner regarding the Mile Zero campground.
We will receive it for information.
Okay. Second, Councillor Schumann. So, Councillor Malkinson?
What, were you going to call the question? I was hoping to prompt a discussion about the Mile Zero Park, and the lease was renewed with the Mile Zero Park this year, or is that up?
Yeah, that's in progress.
In progress?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, my understanding with this is that somebody had booked a space at the Mile Zero, and then when they arrived it wasn't available, so I'm just so everyone knows what that's about. So the question was called. All those in favor? Carried.
Your Worship,
Yes?
perhaps you might want to additionally ask your liaison to Mile Zero Park Society to bring this to their attention.
That is where I was going, yes. Councillor Parcel, would you be so
course.
kind? Thank
Yes,
you.
of course.
All right, so we're not quite 9 o'clock, so we will jump over 7.1 in reports, and we'll go to 7.2, which is correspondence from SN Trucking. So the report from Chief Administration Officer. So this would be report number 13-171. Counselor Schumann?
Yeah, I'd move the recommendation, report number 13-171 from the Chief Administrative Officer be received. Further, that the responses to the correspondence of June 28th, 2013 from SN Carlson Trucking Limited included in this report be approved.
Second, Counselor McFadden. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, so that will take us to 7.3, report number 13-176, and this is regarding the variance permit application for Jim and Patricia Inkster at 2021 89th Avenue. Councillor McFadden?
I would move that report number 13-176 from the Deputy Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development, redevelopment variance permit number 13-04 for Jim and Patricia Inkster at 2021 89th Avenue be received, and further that council approve issuance of the development variance permit number 13-04, which reduces the principal building minimum front setback from 1.9 meters to 0.44 meters.
I will second that motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, call a question. All those in favor? Opposed? Opposed. It is carried. All right, we'll move right along into bylaws. So 8.1 is report number 13-174, loan authorization for capital improvements. Councillor Malkinson?
Move that report number 13-174 from the Director of Corporate Administration regarding the loan authorization bylaw number 4166 be received, and further that as approval from the electors has been received through the alternate approval process, that loan authorization bylaw number 4166 2013 be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Parslow. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. All right, bylaw 8.2, report number 13-175, and this is loan authorization regarding Lorand Reservoir. Councillor Parslow.
I'd like to move that report number 13-175 from the Director of Corporate Administration re-loan authorization bylaw number 4168 be received. Further, that as approved from the electors has been received through the alternate approval process, the loan authorization bylaw number 4168 2013 be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Schumann. All those in favor? Nope.
I was hoping to ask a
Discussion, sorry, go ahead,
question or,
Councillor Malkinson.
discuss things a little bit. We received, well, Madam Chair, we received, I believe, 11 responses in opposition to this bylaw. Is that correct?
Something like that.
Jim, please.
Through your worship, not in opposition to the bylaw, but in favor of requiring a referendum before.
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you.
You're right.
All right.
Because why?
Well, I believe because, well, I can't really speak to their individual interests, but I did receive a bit of correspondence and a couple of people, well, even phone calls about people that were concerned about the bill being footed for developers, but we are going to be recouping the costs of, well, some of the costs for this reservoir through DCCs once that area is developed. Isn't that right?
Could you clarify that for us, please, Jim?
Yes, through your worship, you made the determination when originally approving the project that about 74% of this project is actually for the benefit of the developers. Because of the timing of your meaning the remaining 26% was a general benefit to the community. The development cost charge bylaw you have in place says that your amount that you will assist developers in the first year of the application is 20%, and in all years subsequent to that is 10%, and that doesn't go into effect until January of 2014. So if you just work all that math through and what's under development now, developers will end up paying over 85% of the 74%. That's probably.
Anything else, Councillor Miller?
Well, that's That's an important thing to identify, I think, and it's we're heading on the right track now with DCCs. So.
Okay, perfect. All right, so all those in favor? That's carried. We're just buzzing along here. We're not any closer to 9 o'clock. It doesn't feel like we were 5 minutes ago. All right, so we have report 13-173 regarding zoning amendment bylaw. Councillor Schumann?
Oh, like.
Oh.
I
Councillor
apologize.
Malkinson is in
Yeah.
still in conflict.
Yeah.
Still is in
I
conflict,
can't
but
step
it's
out
always
of.
wide out.
All right, right on.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
For the same reason.
Yes, that's right.
All right,
Alright,
Councillor
so-
Schumann.
I'll move report number 13-173 from the Deputy Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development regarding the zoning amendment bylaw number 4156, 2012 be received. Further, that the city enter into a section 219 covenant with the landowner restricting development of the parcel to that proposed in the development plan and requiring the necessary improvements be completed prior to the issuance of a building permit. Further, that the zoning amendment bylaw 4156, 2012, rezoning the remainder of Lot A, Plan 23916 near the corner of 21st and 86th Avenue from RS2 residential single and duplex zone to RM3 residential high density multiple family zone be given third reading and adopted.
Right. Seconder? I will second the motion. Discussion? Councillor McFadden?
My question is, and we have both a developer and some residents that are opposed here. I'm looking at the map, and it looks like the apartment would be to the north side of the development. And it looks like I see a parking lot on the west side. What's to prevent a developer, once it's rezoned, to then resubmit a completely new development plan that would put 3 or 4 four-story apartments in that plot of land, if anything?
Jim, if you could answer that first, please.
Yes, through your worship, in this case, the landowner, the numbered company 0955250 BC Limited, has agreed to sign the covenant attached, which will form part of the title of land. And so any subsequent purchaser will be bound by that covenant. That is not to say a subsequent purchaser can't approach the city of Dawson Creek and ask for the covenant to be removed. That can be done at any time. But it's in favor of the city of Dawson Creek. It would be your discretion whether it was ever removed.
So one thing that I did take into consideration when Mr. Vedder came forward was that it's a strata complex. These are not rental units. They're to be owned. So that changes my thinking on that, and I don't believe that we are that we promote segregated communities. So we can't always say not in my backyard. So the whole point of community is that everybody's included and we're inclusive. So I will be voting in favor of this recommendation. Councillor Schumann?
And further to that, I'm also against the idea of segregating our communities into just developments with single-family homes or just apartment buildings in one area, single-family homes in another. I think that it's a good idea to increase the density in the city, reduce the infrastructure we need in order to serve a greater amount of residents. And while I sympathize with the residents' comments and the feelings they have about how this development will affect them, I feel that this is something we need in Dawson Creek. We need more development, more homes, more options for people in our community and people coming to our community. So I'm also in favor of this.
Councillor McFadden? Yes.
Just one more, to the west of the proposed apartment, that is, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 plexes? Is that what would be in there?
Yes, Your
Yes.
Worship, that's what the plan calls for. And it would be south of the area that's designated for the apartment building.
Yeah, I don't know. I am torn because I know the developer very well, and I also know some of the folks that live there very well. I'm having a tough time with this densification. I think we're perilously close to social engineering here, so I don't know if I can support this or not. I don't know what to do. It's, I mean, an 8-plex, 4 people to an 8-plex, that's 32 diesel pickup trucks that are fired up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I see there's no alley or buffer between the parking lot and Miss Wager's backyard, I guess, or the folks that live up there. Is that correct? I'm not a good map person, so you have to help me out here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but I believe that when Mr. Vetter presented, he said that they're, given the setbacks to the parking lot, there is some space there between the backyards and the parking for this facility, and this complex is gated. So I'm assuming that would mean in the development that there would be a fence all the way around this development?
There would be no requirement for a fence. That is something that the developer would install as a market-driven base. It wouldn't be a requirement.
Okay.
And our subdivision bylaw does not require lanes. In fact, discourages lanes.
All right. Okay. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor? Opposed? Was defeated. Right. Yeah, Mr. Milkinson?
You should have just stayed home today. Yeah, you should have just stayed home.
Take a hike.
I almost had to go home. Duncan scared me as he came out of the mayor's office. All right. We have a few more minutes, so I guess I'll just carry on into mayor's business. What? Sorry.
How did that vote just go?
It was
Tied.
Lost on a tied vote.
so
Failed.
it fails.
Interesting. Was it you against?
All right, so I received a letter from
Really?
one of our community youth named Dawson, and Dawson's very concerned about Rotary Lake. So I just want to rest assured to Dawson that Rotary Lake is open, and Beat the Heat Repeat will be on Saturday. And Dawson likes water slides, so I want to remind Dawson we have a wonderful water slide at our Kenbork Aquatic Center, and that we do have a group in the community that's working very hard to bring a water park as an addition to the Rotary Lake area. So Dawson, thank you for the letter. I was going to write you back, but I didn't have a return address, so hopefully he's watching or she is watching the news or TV and hear us. So I do appreciate the letter, and that goes to show that City Hall does listen. No matter how old you are, we recognize that you've got a hold of us, so thank you, Dawson. Something else that I have been doing is sending out birthday and anniversary letters to anyone that would care to have a family member receive one. To date, I've given out 79, and I have 45 for August, so if you know someone who has a birthday or an anniversary, I'd like to know about it, and I'd like to send them a little letter congratulating them on that. So here we go. We are so close to 9 o'clock.
I think time set up probably at 9, eh?
All right.
Recess for 2 minutes.
Could we discuss the possibility of a special meeting on Friday
Yes.
for amendment to the loan authorization bylaw regarding paving in order to add the extra projects that you've identified?
All right. So who all will be available Friday for a meeting?
Early morning.
Early morning? All right. Councilor Schumann?
Yeah.
All right. So we have a quorum for Friday morning.
So then to read into the record, this will be noticed that there will be such a special meeting at 8:30 on Friday morning.
Morning. Yes. All right.
8:30, you said?
Thank you, Jim. That brought us to 9 o'clock. So we have a delegation. Mr. Curriata in attendance regarding the development permit 13-17 for Cal Tire. So if you could come forward, and as before, Mr. Curriata, you have 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors. Our delegation is here on behalf of the 20 or so neighbors that signed or sent emails to Alka Lucas's letter from our neighborhood to you, expressing a big no to Development Permit 1317 and requesting responses to several concerns. I'm Paul Curiata, resident at 848 107th Avenue, and along with my delegation, or our delegation, we're privileged to represent our neighbors. The context for our delegation is, again, the vision, or the city community charter that's posted up on the wall there, Your Worship, to your right. And particularly context our delegation on 2 points: attest to our community's requirement for integrity and trust, and number 2, attest to our respect and esteem in our community for the health and safety of all of the citizens of our fair city. Neighbor Ian Eggertson will illustrate how the application made for the rezoning last year, upon which this council made the decision to rezone the lot, was made by Murray Weeks, who is not an owner of Cal Tire, according to Remy Willette. That application, number 2, has been followed now on what has become Development Permit 1317. And this application was made by Remy Willette, recorded as owner, and Remy Willette is most certainly not the owner of Cal Tire. Then neighbor Alka Lucas will speak to the accelerating danger to our health and safety as a consequence of heavy industrial traffic, a blocked laneway, and heavy Cal Tire traffic on the open section of laneway. Thirdly, neighbor Lauren Watt will speak to the accelerating danger to our health and safety, informed by his position with Murphy Oil, working in the oil patch around about our town. And he will address particularly the danger from fire that emanates from the dangerous heavy industrial activity on and overflowing around Cal Tire's location. Our 20 letters already received by you, together with the presentation from our 4-person delegation here today, will demonstrate why Development Permit 1317 is not worthy of consideration by you, our elected delegates. And prudently, it should be rejected and sent back to the drawing boards for a complete overhaul after our health and safety concerns have been addressed. So I turn this over to Ian, please.
Thank you.
My name is Ian Eggertson. I reside at 853 107th Avenue, and I've lived there for approximately 22 years. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to this matter. I'm really not comfortable here. I don't want to be here, but I feel I have to be here. I think I speak for the rest of the delegation here as well, and we also didn't want to write any letters. It's just something we have to do. We want to live in our neighborhood, but we somehow can't. Our neighborhood and the residents within our neighborhood are being bullied and brutalized with an escalating increase in traffic, especially large trucks. There's industrial noise and there's just general untidiness. Last year, council rezoned 816 107th Avenue for Cal Tire, and it went from residential to commercial. I'd never heard of rezoning going in this direction before, but Jim Shute has advised that it has been done once before, so it's happened. I would like to address the question of process. For the 2012 request for rezoning of 816 107th Avenue, the applicant was Adam Zinski, and I think he's here today, if I'm not mistaken. He was of Cal Tire Distributors Limited, Vernon, BC, and the owner was stated as Murray Weeks of N&T Property Limited, Vernon, BC. Council acted in favor of their request, whereby they were to provide parking, a storage compound, and visual and sound barriers for the residents. This year, in 2013, there is a development permit request for this property to construct a warehouse to store tires and to provide better parking. The applicant this year is Remy Willette of Cal Tire Dawson Creek, and the owner is Remy Willette of Cal Tire Dawson Creek. We question the validity of these development applications. Did or does Murray Weeks own N&T Properties Limited? Did N&T Properties Limited dispose of the property to Cal Tire? Does Remy Ouellette own Cal Tire? How is ownership determined? How does the city determine ownership, like when they make these applications? And who determines ownership? Can anyone sign for these applications? There's many of them that you have. Does anybody comes in here and signs? We question the legality of these representations made by these applications, and I'll leave it at that. That's my part of it, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you.
My name is Elke Lucas, and I live on 106th Avenue and 8A Street. We bought into that area because we liked that it was such an established, improving residential part of town. Big trees, close to King Park, walking trails, and close to downtown. We certainly did not expect to be living on a street that would become a throughway for commercial traffic within the next couple of years. But I understand that for the sake of growth and development, the city cannot deny all development based on aesthetic concerns of its citizens. However, commercial truck traffic along 107th Avenue, 8A Street, and 106th Avenue is dangerous. We're not talking about pickup trucks. We're talking about big rigs with sometimes 2 semi-trailers hauling huge tanks of God knows what. Many look like fuel tanks. So I don't know if you can imagine sitting at your window and you have one of the things drive by your kitchen table. Kind of scary. Our streets are not designed for that kind of traffic. The trucks take up the whole road and making the turn on 8A. They block traffic when they park along 107th Avenue. They obstruct visibility. But most importantly, they pose a danger to pedestrians. Many people use these streets to walk dogs, for example, in order to access the park on 107th Avenue. There are also children living in the houses along these streets. I'm not sure how you would feel if your children were playing ball in the yard and one of those big trucks comes by 10 feet away. The area across from Cal Tire is designated as a playground zone. How can it be right to have big commercial trucks drive by there on a regular basis? Some of the cargo carried by these trucks also poses a real danger for the neighborhood, should there ever be an accident. And I hate to say it, but big trucks on tight residential roads make for an accident waiting to happen. We also have concerns about the use of the alley, with the access often being blocked and there being no way for emergency vehicles to get through, or neighbors having their access limited. I would ask you to please address this clear and present danger before allowing any further development in our area to take place. There's a saying, Soar said a very old saying, that who says A must say B. However, that is not true. Who says A does not have to say B. We can recognize that A was wrong. And that is what we ask you to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to use the overhead projector?
Sorry?
Did you want to use, no? All right.
Good morning, Council and Your Worship. My name is Lauren Lott, and I live at 829 106th Avenue, Dawson Creek. I recently moved here for my work a couple of years ago, and I bought in this location because of the beauty, and I could see there was a community in transition, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I want to be a part of my community, except for I saw the tire shop and I considered that before I purchased, but it's starting to get a little out of hand. So I thought I had to say something. That's the rest of my vote. So page 1, I'm going to address the hazards from my point of the speech, and this is regards to storage of tires and industrial situations in a residential area. It's also situated right above a park, flowing water body. And in my my business, that would really be looked at with some questions being very pointedly asked. If we were, if as an oil and gas company, we were going to build there, right? So some of the things that I'll address is the public health and safety, exposure to toxins, fire, whether it's accidental or caused by arson, the environmental contamination, and some of the things that I've seen is improper storage of tires in a residential area, improper storage of bulk chemicals in a residential area, limited access and egress to the alley for emergency vehicles. So some of the concerns that I have are, first and foremost, would be the health and public safety and exposures to these toxins in the community. All the chemicals and substances generated in tire fires have been shown to be known carcinogens when they're on fire. Possible loss of life due to fire and smoke for residents nearest the fire, chronic effects that may be caused due to exposure to fire and chemicals of a tire fire, traffic congestion in the residential area caused by inappropriate industrial uses that may lead to personal injuries of the residents. Other concerns would be fire, like I said, accidental or by arson. A fire in this location has a very high potential of causing severe property damage to the residents who are direct neighbors as well as the indirect neighbors of Cal Tire's storage area. Other concerns, environmental contamination. Is improper storage of the tires in a residential area in the first place. Is the improper storage of bulk chemicals in a residential area. Any chemical spills or pyrolytic oils from a fire would contaminate the storm drains and or run directly into Dawson Creek. Limited access and egress for emergency vehicles is another concern. Cal Tire continually blocking a public access area for their private business, i.e. tires stored on alleys, right-of-ways, blocking alleys, the noise. Cal Tire vehicles continually speeding down the alley, limited or no access for emergency vehicles. I've included a picture here that clearly shows the lack of maintenance of the alley. The tires clearly blocking the public access. There's always vehicles parked there, big trucks. When I first moved here, I just thought this was the way it was. But I realized when I got with my neighbors and said, no, this is an alley. Well, I'm thinking to myself, why in the world did the city allow this? If I was to park my trailer, my holiday trailer in this alley, I'd soon hear from the city. And then the improper tire storage, you will note it's like right beside a residential area. So other concerns about this is the lower property values in the area due to this rezoning. The rezoning of this area will have a direct result of lowering my property below my neighbor's value in this area. And who wants to live beside a hazardous area? I know I don't. The city must not continue to allow Cal Tire to obviously the process of growing their business by osmosis to continue at the expense of these residents. You know, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Next thing we're moved out of the community. That's not why I moved here. Fire caused by accident or arson. Whether tire fires are caused by accident, lightning, which has happened, or by arson, which has also happened, they are very difficult to extinguish. Huge amounts of smoke are generated, and this smoke contains many toxic chemicals which are released as the rubber breaks down during the fire. Another picture here I showed is the improper storage of bulk chemicals. This is just one example that I've seen in the last 2 years I've lived here. Like here is a 1 meter cubed storage containment just laying in the grass. In my business, the OGC would write you up for this. Some definitions I've included so everyone realizes what I'm talking about here. When a tire's burned, it's known as pyrolysis. It's a thermochemical breakdown of the organic material, such as tires, at an elevated temperature in the absence of oxygen. So they break down to their base components. Some of these components are butadiene, styrene, and other pyrolytic oils generated during the process and are very high in carbon and heavy metals. Chemicals released are carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, which when the firemen are trying to put it out, mixes with water and which becomes sulfur butane and styrene are just a few to name. Like, it's nasty stuff. Fires are not, like tire fires are nothing to play with. So I've just listed a brief history of all these different things, like in '83, 7 million fires burning for 9 months in Virginia. 94, 4 million tires burning for months in Washington. 89, 10 million tires burning for 15 years in Wales. 14 million tires burned in Hagersville. That was a really bad one. In Ontario, they forced the evacuation of 4,000 people. 96, arson caused fire in a tire yard in Philadelphia. It closed a major highway for 6 months. 98, 7 million tires burned for 2 years in California. 99, 25 million burned in Ohio by arson. 99, lightning strike caused a tire fire in California, and the pyrolytic oils flowed directly into a local creek and ignited. So it's burning all down the creek. 2012, tire fire in a recycling yard in New York caused damage to many homes. Next, I showed a picture of the Hagerville fire. That is just one picture. You can see how devastating it is. So, further to this, my comments are, having a tire storage area in a residential area is a very bad idea. Rezoning to commercial does not make it a safe thing to do. You can't just willy-nilly without some kind of environmental studies, engineering studies. This is a big deal. Please reconsider the choices made of rezoning this area, and I thank you for your time. I've also documented some of the national fire codes where this you can find, and all of this I found quite easily. It took me 10 minutes to find it on the internet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your delegation.
How are we doing, Cal?
You've run over, actually, but
I'd like to make some concluding comments, if I could, please.
all right, actually, what I need to do is just have the consent of council, that you do so. So everybody in favor? All right, thank you, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So you've heard the concerns expressed on top of the letter that 20 of our neighbors signed, raising serious issues. We have some, what we consider could be some solutions, immediate measures that could be taken to, without delay, begin to mitigate and take away the immediate threat to our health and safety generated by Cal Tire's dangerous and accelerating industrial activity. Within 1 day, have the city crews install 6 or 7 parking barricades along the north edge of the laneway, just 18 feet to the north of their existing building. That would have the effect of preventing Cal Tire from parking up against the building or some of their customers or storing tires or whatever. No big deal. Takes 1 day to do it. There's lots of these barricades in the city inventory. Also within 1 day, require Cal Tire to cease its use of the unblocked portion of the laneway, which goes westward from Cal Tire's property, because now they can exit straight onto 8th Street through the unimpeded laneway. Within as few days as possible, number 3, turn 107th Avenue into a one-way street from 8A Street and eastward out to 8th Street with a right turn only at that intersection. That will eliminate most of the dangerous industrial traffic that threatens our neighborhood, as Elka illustrated. And Remy Willett, manager of Cal Tire, has indicated his support for this measure. Within 15 days, require Cal Tire to remove its operations from all public space, thereby restricting its business operations to its property, and thereby contributing to the reduction of the dangerous industrial activity on the Cal Tire location, activity that is a threat to our health and safety. And within 30 days, require Cal Tire to provide sound and green barriers as promised by Cal Tire in what I will call a fraudulent application for rezoning in April of 2012, and provide parking on
Your
that
Worship,
lot as
Your Worship, you can't allow
Okay.
that statement to stand. You can't accuse a corporation of fraud in a public meeting. The city of Dawson Creek will then be liable for allowing that to happen.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, I retract that.
Thank you.
Anyhow, they promised that they would provide parking on that lot in the application for rezoning made in April of 2012. So we would like them to provide that parking on that lot and reduce the amount of tires stored on their property they're on, so they can do all their business safely on that property and reduce the threat to our health and safety as an outcome. So to conclude, council should prudently set aside development permit 1317, kill it dead today, send Cal Tire back to the drawing board to start at square one. We're trying to get from below the ground to square one ourselves right now. We're on our heels. Let Cal Tire prove we are serious about our health and safety over a good period of time, say 12 months. Let it legitimately grow its business opportunity on its location and not around it. After Cal Tire demonstrates in practice its commitment consistently to respect our health and safety, perhaps then council could consider a new, thoroughly considered application from Cal Tire for further development on that site. A development that would feature professionally designed sound and danger mitigation suitable for the dangerous industrial activity that Cal Tire conducts in a dense urban setting, and come with professionally designed green screens and landscaping too. Wouldn't that be nice? Meanwhile, council would have the opportunity to refurbish the antiquated notice processes and directly engage citizens in a timely and deliberate manner. Our notice processes probably have been around for 40 years, I'm going to say. I think we can do better. Secondly, to tighten up the process for vetting who owns properties being proposed for rezoning or development. Thank you. We'll provide transcripts of our presentations here in about 2 days via email.
Thank you. Thank you for presenting.
Thank you.
So we do have a gentleman present from Cal Tire, so we'll need council's unanimous vote that he would be able to come forward and speak. So all those in favor? All right, Carrie, please.
Good morning. Thank you for hearing from us today. Cal Tire began this process, Adam Smolinski with Cal Tire.
Thank you.
Post Office Box 1240, Vernon, BC. This process for Cal Tire began about 16 months ago when we applied for our rezoning. Just to respond to the questions about the ownership, to clarify, I am the manager of construction services with Cal Tire who did make the application. Murray Weeks is an authorized representative of NNT Properties, and NNT Properties is actually a subsidiary of Cal Tire. They're a holding company for us. Remy Ouellette is the manager of Cal Tire here who made this application. Him being listed as owner is slightly incorrect, but he does have authorization of Cal Tire and NNT Properties to make the application.
Thank you.
When we made the rezoning application, there was a very dilapidated house there. We had actually received letters from the city of Dawson Creek with respect to the quality of the house, old cars being left on the property, landscape not being maintained. The property itself was really becoming extremely dilapidated, and we wanted to do something about it. At that time, we made an application to rezone the property, which was approved by the city of Dawson Creek, and we moved forward with demolishing the house. A new fence was erected, and we do admit that the fence was wrongly erected. We followed the existing fence line along the south of our property. As it turned out, that was on city property. With this development permit that's there, we do have the full intention of relocating that fence back onto our property along the property line on that south side. It was an error, and it was a case of our fencing contractor following what was there originally. Cal Tire's been in operation there for over 80 years. Nobody had a survey done. They expected it was something as simple as it's been there like that, and that's where we expected it was allowed to be. And we will correct that. The storage building that we are proposing here is hopefully going to alleviate a lot of the concerns of these neighbors. I know there's concern that that building will eventually become used for service, but we are not even providing adequate electrical service to provide equipment, hoists, anything like that within this building to service vehicles. It's purely designed for storage. It's to get our material indoors as opposed to being outside the building. It'll also help us clean up the yards because everything will be stored. The chemicals will be able to be stored inside the building as well. So we'll create some of those safety measures that the residents are looking for. We hope it will also clean up the area by being able to bring that material indoors as opposed to outdoors. From the fire perspective, Cal Tire is building a lot of buildings. In the last 5 years, I think we've constructed about 60 new buildings. We've got a dedicated real estate and construction department, and we're very well versed with what fire code is and what we require for tire storage, how high we can do our stacks, when we require sprinklers based on volumes. This building is designed as such to not require sprinklers. We do fall within the code.
So you won't be adding sprinklers to this building?
We won't be adding sprinklers to the building, but it is not required by the building code as well. That
So-
it is directly addressed in the building code.
And hearing the concerns of the citizens, that's not something you might do just to relieve their
It's
concerns?
unfortunately a very difficult option because we don't have an adequate water service to our property at this time, because we would require like a 6 or 8 inch water service to do just that. And we don't have that right now. I believe our water service is only a 1 inch water service, perhaps an inch and a half. So, we've been building buildings that actually have quite a bit more tire storage than what's in this building right now, what will be in the storage building in the last few years. All over Western Canada, Edmonton, Calgary, Langford, Chilliwack, just all over the place. And all these buildings are done, and we've had no issues. We have a very good track record with our safety in that, and we hope, like you say, that what we're doing will really increase the value of the area by cleaning it up. Those landscape buffers, we will have them designed by a landscape architect once this is approved. We haven't done that yet because obviously without approval, we didn't want to spend the money to have a landscape architect on board to design that landscape buffer at the back, as well as the redesign of the city boulevard, as was requested as part of this development permit. But both those areas would be properly designed by a landscape architect, and plans would be submitted to the city of Dawson Creek as part of our building permit for approval prior to proceeding with those.
So with regards to the concerns of the blocked alley, what would you be proposing to?
Councillor Sherman?
Your worship,
Yeah.
just to call council's attention to your lawful requirements here. This is a development permit application. It is to determine whether or not the proposed development meets your form and character guidelines in your OCP. It is not a rezoning hearing. That property is already rezoned, it's in a commercial area. Tire store is an allowed use in the zone. That is not on the table here. This isn't a bylaw enforcement proceeding. This isn't an environmental regulation proceeding. This is not a fire code compliance proceeding. This is a development permit proceeding. Your lawful requirement is to consider the elements relevant to the development permit application and make a decision on that.
Councillor
So
Schumann.
my question was just in an effort to hear what Caltire has to say about the alleyway in response to the residents.
In all honesty, it's a difficult position for me to comment on. Operationally, that's not unfortunately what I'm involved with. I'm involved with the real estate and construction. The specific operation to each store and how the trucks come through and how they pass through is a very difficult thing for me to comment on because I'm not an expert in how they have to do operation there. We've got 260 something locations that we deal with, and I have talked to Remy. I know Remy wants to work as one of the residents here brought forward that they spoke to Remy about some of the things that he would be in support of with trying to mitigate some of the issues through our operation there. And I would encourage Remy to continue to do that, to work with the residents and that, to be able to do something to operationally make it a better situation for everybody involved. But I unfortunately, I'm not the right person to comment on the specifics to that.
All right, so does anyone else have a question for the gentleman from Caltire, the delegation? Councillor Malkinson?
Well, we've got, well, certainly you've seen the response from all of the residents in the area, very cross about, well, some of the activities, and I suppose some of the details extend to the nature of the development permit specifically, but again, all part of a larger situation. Typically, we are assured by surrounding companies outside and throughout Dawson Creek that even perception is negative in situations. You know, we get assured by well, oil and gas companies that you know, when there are concerns, you know, it's on the basis of those concerns that you'll want to address them. You know, it's the basis that there is a concern that you'll want to address it. Do you, well, this is a difficult question, but do you believe that it's, that we're headed for a good situation here? That
I do believe so. I think I understand your question. In all honesty, prior to coming here, I actually sat down with our senior vice president of stores, the president of our company, director of real estate and construction. They're all involved, understand the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something that, you know, as high as the chain can go, are aware. So we're a service-based company. Image is a huge perception for us.
Mm-hmm.
We know just how important that is. So it is something that we know we need to address. Again, with this development, we're hoping to address a lot of those concerns by cleaning up that area, cleaning up our storage. We're hoping that will take on a lot of, take care of a lot of those concerns.
Great. Thank you. So that, thank you for stepping forward. And so that will actually move us into 7.1, which is report number 13-177 with regards to the development permit for Cal Tire. Councillor Schumann.
I move the report number 13-177 from the Deputy Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development regarding the development permit application from N&T Properties Limited for 800 107 Avenue be received. Further, that staff be authorized to issue the development permit number 13-17 to N&T Properties Limited for the construction of a new warehouse at 800 107 Avenue upon receipt of the financial security.
Someone to second? I will second the motion. Discussion. Councillor McFadden.
I think, Your Worship, through you to staff, the applicant is proposing to carry on an activity at this location that is well within the zoning and OCP parameters. That being the case, does council have the authority to say no to what they're doing? That's like somebody buying a residential lot and then not getting a permit to build a house on the residential lot. Do we have the authority to do that once it's been zoned?
Through your worship, in a development permit, what you are measuring is the proposed development against the criteria that are in your official community plan for the form and character of buildings.
Yes.
Form and character of buildings plus parking areas and lighting. So you are entitled to put conditions on regarding construction material, design of the building, landscaping, dark sky lighting, those kind of things. But in terms of turning it down because you don't believe the use is appropriate, neither use nor density can be covered in a development permit. You can't change use and density. That's a zoning process.
Yeah. But we haven't asked for any landscaping and other things that you talked about, and they're not.
Yes, there's screening. The development permit has screening on the westernmost boundary.
Oh, western, okay.
Anyone else? Councillor Schumann.
Yeah, I'm actually going to vote in favor of this. I think that the storage building will, just as indicated by the proponent, will clean up the property, and yeah, I'm not opposed to this. I feel like everyone living along those streets bought their houses knowing full well that Cal Tire was at the end of that street. And I mean, I see what they're doing as is something that they're trying to make the situation better, not worse. And I don't see this as something that's going to contribute more to the issues that the concerns that the residents have.
Excuse me, being the chair spoke directly to us.
No, I'm sorry. We cannot.
You had interaction with the other delegation from them. Why can't we have an?
Actually, we voted to have that gentleman come forward as a delegation to hear from Cal Tire. So you did speak as a delegation, but we do not confer with the gallery while the council is deciding on what's before them. Sorry. Councillor Parcel, did you have anything to input?
Well, notwithstanding the comments of the CAO, I am concerned about, and that's not before us from the point of view of the development permit. So I guess I'm wondering to myself, how can we deal with some of the concerns of the residents, notwithstanding what the CAO said about the matter before council. There are operational challenges, the safety challenges, traffic flow challenges, and so on. And I don't think any of those issues are affected by the construction of a warehouse. And so I do believe, though, we have to address some of the operational concerns that are alleged to impact safety, traffic flow, and so on. And so I'll be making a motion after this matter's been dealt with that we get a report about from staff about some of the concerns raised and how they can be mitigated. Some of the suggestions that were made in the summation, so that those things can be dealt with, because I have observed the same issues in response to some of the citizens getting hold of me. Certainly there are some safety, traffic flow, parking issues, but that's not before us. So I am not going to oppose the building, but I do want us to address some of the operational things. But
can we do that?
Well, I do believe that by issuing this development permit, Cal Tire is going to alleviate some of the issues that the neighborhood has. But I also, I believe we have till August 2nd for input for the master transportation plan, and maybe some of the neighbors could input that information about traffic flow and parking on that survey, so that we will get it and we can forward it and it can become a part of our master transportation plan, because I think that's where the issue could be dealt with. As far as aesthetics, I see what Cal Tire is brought forward in this development permit, and that they have included the green space. And I do see the building as a noise buffer for the neighborhood. There was a building there before, so that would have stopped some of the noise that maybe you're hearing now. So I am in favor of this development permit, because I do believe that Cal Tire is being forward-thinking. They realize they have an issue there, and they are trying to be a part of the neighborhood and move forward in progress. So they have been there, I believe, in business since 1982. And I can imagine they've felt some of the struggles the rest of the city has as a business. So to have them still here and have them expanding, I think we should embrace that, and I think we should work with them. So I will be voting in favor of this development permit. Is there any other comments? Councillor Malkinson?
Well, I know that it's widely held that making sure that everything is considered with this particular development permit is looked after. I believe that and I'm just trying to scroll to it now, well, what's identified for the vegetation or green buffer area and the area along the boulevard. It's a little unspecific for me. I certainly would like to see maybe a little better plan or something better drawn up before I made a decision on it. I don't think I can vote in favor.
All right. So I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
Carried?
Yes. Councillor Parcel?
I'd like, I'd like our CAO to advise on this, but it seems to me that there are safety issues as relates to traffic and parking, and there's some very specific recommendations made. I do like your, and perhaps through you, the delegation could submit some of these matters to that transportation plan.
Most definitely.
But there are some immediate things that have been suggested could be done, and don't expect a response from our CAO now, as it was presumably new to him as well at this meeting. But I was wondering if we could refer some of the safety matters that have been raised to our August meeting so that staff can give us some report on that and their reflections on the issues. So that would be my motion.
Okay, do a seconder?
Yep.
Councillor Schumann, all in favor?
Yeah, sure.
Carried.
But my question was
Oh,
to
sorry,
in the
Jim?
sense, to ask Jim, is that a reasonable request, and is it, what are your reflections on it?
Through your worship, if there's information that we can't get together for the August 12th meeting, which is possible because the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development is on holidays until the 12th.
Sure.
So it is more likely that it will be at the meeting subsequent to that. And there are a few things mentioned in the delegation that are out of our scope, that are provincial regulation. So we'll probably just identify them as out of scope. But there are a number of things addressed here that can certainly, we can canvass your options on that, your alternatives on that. My earlier point is simply that you can't make it a condition of a development permit to do that. It's a matter over and above and separate from.
So would we, Jim, then be better maybe to say September rather than August 12th?
Just as soon as possible.
As soon as possible? Okay.
Sure.
All right. Councillor Malkinson.
Have we voted already on Councillor Parslow's motion?
Well, I'll kind of overstep there, so
Okay.
I'm stepping back. Please go ahead.
Could we have it read out, maybe, if you don't mind?
Yes.
I don't. It was very, very. That's kind of a difficult task because it was the result of a, soliloquy. Well, not soliloquy. That's in your head, but.
My motion was simply that the safety issues, we have a report on how we can mitigate those as soon as possible.
I had an idea of a motion recently as well, but it was more on the notification for rezoning and development permits as well. So I'm wondering whether I should
I believe
move
that's separate from
All right,
this.
let's do it. Let's do it separately.
All right, so all those in favor? Carried. Councillor Malkinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that Council agree in principle to expand the notification and notification and process notification area and process for rezoning and development permits, and that staff provide a report on the implications of doing such before it's undertaken.
Jim, would we need a specific change in the notification area in that motion?
I'm sorry, Your Worship, I'm not, it's not clear to me what the objective of the motion is.
I believe Councillor Malkinson is asking that the
council affirm intention to increase
expand
the
the
notification
area
process.
of notification
The
for
area?
rezoning
Yeah.
applications.
Yeah, people that receive letters and.
So I think you're saying if within whatever the distance may be around the property in question, that be expanded out further.
Well, then council has decided to do it, so why get a staff report on the implications?
Well, because
It might actually
Thank
be
you.
preferable if you ask for a staff report on what the legislative requirements are, what the options are for a municipality to broaden those out, and what the implications would be if you did so. And then you could decide whether to do it or not.
All right. Would you like to change it to that, Councillor Malkinson?
yes,
Yes.
Oh, very persuasive.
No,
very
think for-
persuasive,
you're allowed
Charlie.
to think for yourself, actually. Would you like to change your motion to read that way?
Well, it hasn't even been seconded yet, but I suppose, yeah, we can do that. That sounds
All
good.
right, and Mr. McFadden is seconding
I
it.
am so.
All right. Any discussion?
All right, can we have that one read out? What's that?
Can you please-
I don't
No?
think she- Jim needs to restate it. but
Can you please restate that, Jim, so we can get
Staff,
it recorded?
As I understand it, what you're seeking a report on is what are the legislative requirements for providing notice? I assume not just for rezoning, but also for development permits.
Yes.
What are the options for a municipality to provide notice over and above that? And what are the implications of doing so? There will be some legal implications. Whenever you step outside the legislated scheme, you bring a different into the legal system. But
All right.
we can certainly provide you all of that.
Okay.
I think the idea in my head of council expressing interest first would be just so that you know, we could agree in principle and then go ahead based on that. But this is fine as well. I'm
All right.
happy either way.
All those in favor? And it is carried. Okay. So is there anything on the diary?
Nothing on the diary, Your Worship.
Consent calendar? Do we have any questions? Any immediate questions?
Actually,
Will?
I do have one. I just would like to, this question is directed towards Councilor Torres. I guess be curious though, I guess you were, the rezoning amendment for the apartment buildings near 21st Street. I just wanted to know about sort of why you voted to defeat the motion rather than go ahead with that.
Sure. I visualize the proximity of that large apartment block to those residences, and whilst I do agree we need all sorts of accommodation here, to me I would prefer a much larger buffer area. It's right proximate to their backyards, and I put myself, if I was a resident living there, I would be objecting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions I have. Unless other media had any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Right, so I need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Melkinson?
Yep.
Councillor McFadden? All those in favor? And we are adjourned.
To the closed? Or?
No.